Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast for women ready to redesign their relationship with food, fitness, and feelings.
We are a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist. 3 experts, 1 mission.
To help you break free from diet culture, hustle culture, and emotional burnout, let's redefine what wellness really means on your terms. Hello, Pod family. What if we were to give you 3 ingredients for a happy, healthy life? Our very entertaining and brilliant co-host, Maria Winters. Smart, yes. And I said beautiful, didn't I? I should have. Eva shared these 3 ingredients with us recently, and to be honest, it was a mic drop moment. So we're super excited to have this conversation with you. And Maria, tell us, before you tell us what the 3 ingredients are, because let's build a little suspense. Why do they matter? Why should people care about these 3 ingredients?
Thank you very much for that introduction. This is Maria Winters talking to all of you. In all seriousness, no, for real. I've been a mental health therapist for over 20 years, and until, several years to now, I've been working a lot with women too. And I've realized I came up with these 3 ingredients that I really believe. I mean, there's many more things we can do if you want to help with our mental and emotional health. But these 3 things are something that I see commonly that are ingredients that we have on the low end, almost on the, the low end or almost empty.
It seems to me that these are the essential ingredients. There may be other things you can do, but these are like you can't skip steps.
Yes.
Right? They're like the essential vitamins. Like you
Yes.
you must eat them. You can't get them any other way.
Yes, absolutely. So these are 3 ingredients that I think if your life was a recipe, you cannot make the cake without these 3 ingredients. I really think that without these 3 ingredients in our lives, there are many things that happen. And it is what I've seen happening with women. For example, we say yes when we want to say no. We resist to rest and joy, like we avoid it or don't think it's important. We have frequent self-doubt that can come when we don't have these 3 ingredients. Sometimes we feed that inner voice that whispers, you need to do more, prove more. You need to, show everybody else that you can do things, whatever that inner voice is saying. Sometimes we overpack our schedules, we over deliver to other people. We think that we need to please others and do more because then our value is less. We forget to check in with ourselves. We believe that we have to earn the right to slow down, to feel satisfied, or even we apologize a lot for taking care of ourselves. So that's why these 3 ingredients are very important. You guys know what it is, but our listeners don't. You ready? So I'm talking about self-worth, self-esteem, and self-love. Do you know the difference? Well, the 2 of you do, because you're welcome. I already showed you.
Yes, you did already show us. And the other day, I thought the demonstration you gave was really powerful. And so I know our listeners can't exactly see the visual, but can you walk them through what you did? Because I actually thought that that was like the most beautiful way to describe the difference between those 3 things.
Well, before we do that, let's define them first because there's a lot of confusion among those 3. So self-esteem is how you evaluate yourself, right? Your abilities, your qualities. And it's usually based on the stories that we tell ourselves growing up, the labels that we assume, it's shaped by years of experience, comments, comparisons. I mean, think of all the things that you heard growing up. Is there, like I was telling that day that in my case, I used to hear, oh, you're so mature for your age. So I assumed that I needed to be the serious ones in parties or the one that had a good logic answer to things. And I mean, look at me now. Now I don't follow that at all. But are there any labels that you guys grew up with? Maybe that you started hearing when you were little that you're like, oh, you started basing your self-esteem on these things, a specific ability that you had or a quality or comments that you kept hearing growing up or comparisons that you think affected your self-esteem?
Yeah, for sure. I think I was the quiet one or the shy one. And then also some physical labels about my appearance. Like we've talked about my thatch head hair on previous episodes, and always that I had like crazy big eyes or teeth for my face.
For the record, I think your eyes and teeth are gorgeous.
I grew into them.
Yeah, of course. I have lots of things like this too. Like I was always told I was like really good at language arts, like English, writing, reading, that kind of stuff. And like to be fair, I am good at those things, but what I heard was I'm not good at math. So even though they were saying, "Oh, you're so good at English," like what I heard was, "But you suck at math," which is true. I do suck at math. But it just was like one of those things that I just like embraced that part of my personality of like, "Yep, I'm good at reading and I hate math." Of course, physical things too, right? Like Thunder Thighs was like my nickname. We talked about this on another episode. And like to this day, my family calls me TT. So it's kind of like been part of me forever, for Thunder Thighs.
Well, and honestly, it doesn't just happen as children, right? Even think about become a joke at this point, but we were given labels as podcast hosts.
Yes.
Yes, no, we're constantly probably getting labels. And so again, self-esteem changes because hasn't it happened to you that some days you feel like, oh, I'm gonna conquer the world, and maybe 2 days later it's like, oh, look at me, like I am not capable of this or that. Like it, self-esteem is normal to change because again, it's based on those stories or how you evaluate yourself even that day. Now, self-worth is a completely different concept. Is the deep, unshakable belief that you have value just because you exist. Is something you are born with. As a human being in this world, you have value and you are worthy of so many things just because of being here. So I was telling the days like Human Rights Watch and those people, what they defend is not based on what you've done in your life and what you have accomplished. It's just based on your existence, that you deserve food and medical care and you deserve respect and you don't deserve mistreatment. And like if you're this is an extreme example, but if somebody kills you, they pay the same way whether you were the CEO of Procter and Gamble or if you were a homeless person. I mean, the crime, it has the same weight because you have the right to live a life without anybody interrupting it. That is because of your self-worth, not dependent on anything that you do or don't do. So that should be constant. It doesn't change. Your self-worth doesn't change. If you didn't get that promotion, you still deserve to have respect and being valued.
It feels like a badge of honor, I feel like in society. We've made it this thing to like put other people first, especially in like parenthood. We're always, taking care of everybody else and doing all the things and we come last. And I know a lot of people say like, "Oh, you can't help others unless you yourself are healthy and able," right? But to me that almost just solidifies it as like, well, the reason it's okay to help yourself and take care of yourself is because you're serving others, not because you're inherently worthy of it. You know? It's a tricky thing in parenthood right now, I feel like.
And God forbid, and you have needs or you want to do stuff on your own, then you're a bad mother or whatever the belief is. But you know what I've seen a lot in women and in myself? That sometimes this low self-esteem is not that conscious. Is when you are maybe looking for a job and you have a few months looking for a job and you're like, oh, I can't find a job. I'm sure it's maybe because of my skills. And then finally you go to this interview and they offer you something extremely low, let's say in salary, and you don't even try saying, hey, I'm worth more than that. Like, look at the skills I'm bringing. Like, even to show up in the business world or show up in your relationships. How many women just accept relationships that they know is not what they want and obviously not what they deserve, but maybe I'm not enough. And there's really is very common women out there to have the deep internal belief that they are not enough. And think about that for a second. If you're not enough, how are we going to know what we deserve? And how are we going to claim it? The things that we deserve.
Hi, I'm Alice Ann Loftus, the founder of Leading Lady Coaching, As a business coach, consultant, and leadership expert, I help high achieving women build successful, sustainable businesses without burnout. With years of experience as an entrepreneur, I know firsthand the challenges women face in business and leadership. That's why I'm passionate about empowering women to step into their confidence, create businesses that work for them, and lead with both strategy and heart. Through my coaching, online communities, and live workshops, I provide the tools and support you need to thrive, not just in business, but in life. If you're ready to take the lead and build a business that truly serves you, I'd love to connect. Visit www.leadinglady-coaching.com and follow me on Instagram and Facebook for daily inspiration and expert advice. Let's make success feel as good as it looks.
I actually have a good example of this. When I was pregnant, I was promoted to a management position and they offered me minimum wage for 5 hours a week to manage a team of like 10 people. And I was just like so excited to have been chosen for this position that I didn't even think like I should negotiate for this. Like I was just like, yay, like I have value. And then I came home and was like thinking about it and I'm like, what? Like this position is minimum of 15, 20, 30 hours a week, really. And it's not a minimum wage job. Like managing other people is not minimum wage. And I was stuck in that like pay level of that level of value for years because I didn't think I should speak up and that I didn't value myself higher than that. So like learn from my lesson and don't do that. At least tell them you need to think about it.
So think about it. If you think you're not good enough, then anything that you accept in your life is this is okay. Is good enough. Depending on how good enough you think you are. Oh, this guy, he's good enough for me to have a relationship. Oh, the way this person treats me is good enough. I mean, think about it how self-esteem, self-worth, and self-love really can influence how you prize yourself, like we were just talking right now, how you handle failure. Oh, maybe I'm not capable of dealing with this. Maybe just leaving it like that is okay. Maybe just letting for somebody to speak to me that way is okay. How you care for your bodies and your minds has to do with your self esteem. Think about it for a minute, right? So, again, and when I talk about self love, I'm not saying that you have to like everything about yourself. I don't. I mean, many people don't like absolutely everything, and you think you're like all the best shit ever. No, but it's about accepting about those things that maybe you don't like. You offer compassion to it, right? You give forgiveness. You care. You have deep respect for yourself, despite those things that you don't like. Because you deserve that from yourself too. So, I want to share with you a few statements, some things that when I understood, they really changed my life because I help other women, not because I read that in a book, because I experienced it myself as well. I realized that when I started working in my self esteem and understanding my self worth and practicing self love, my life really changed as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as a business owner. So, here are things that changed my life, and hopefully they resonate with you. One, realizing that you cannot build a life that honors you if deep down you don't believe you deserve it. Another thing that changed my life is that I started treating myself like someone I was dating. And I find out I'm actually pretty entertaining. It's actually a fun date. It could be a fun date. Think about it. But I started asking myself what likes me up, what lights me up, what drains me. How do I want to be treated? That's a good question. How do you want to be treated? Do you guys know what are things that you are absolutely non-negotiables for you in how people, in designing how people should have a relationship with you? What are non-negotiables for you?
We're all sitting here looking at each other like, ooh, snap, don't pass me the mic. So for me, that comes down to respect. Like, I expect people to be kind. I expect them to treat me with respect, even if they disagree with my opinion. Like, we're not name calling, we're not physically abusive, we're not emotionally abusive. Like, you need to calm down and chill when you're talking to me.
That was the word that was coming to my mind too, is respect.
Yes. And how does that look like for you?
Uh, Similar to Tara's. I mean, definitely kindness. I don't know why other words are not coming to mind, but
For me, I think it's like kindness and like integrity is a big one for me.
yeah, I think it's, I don't know, there's like a word that I'm searching for, and then like I know what it is, I can see it, but for some reason I can't come out and say it. But it really is just respect. Like treat me like a person who deserves your,
I need to be able to count on you,
Mhm.
you know?
yeah.
Yeah. For me, it also has to do with that people believe that my needs are important too. Like I have learned how to notice those people that need things from me and need things from me, but then there's not like a, a turn on the coin, like, and what do you need? Or how can I support you? Because I have taught myself over the years, maybe because I'm a therapist, to see my needs, but also other people's needs. And many times I can feel people that come into my world or my life, and at the end of the day, I feel drained by this relationship. So I learned quickly that I don't deserve anyone my full energy for them to be okay, and then I'm being left feeling completely drained. So that comes to a really good practice, which is to audit your inner circles, like the people around you. It's a good way to start when it comes to self-love and self-esteem, is really paying attention to how you feel after you leave a conversation with somebody. If you feel drained or feeling smaller or second guessing yourself all the time, maybe pay attention to that. And maybe it's time to make a decision, because it does have an influence on your self-esteem. And that's not connection. I mean, when you feel like that constantly in a relationship, it's not connection. It's actually erosion, and it does affect your self-esteem because it cannot grow in toxic soil. And I don't like when we go around and say toxic people this, I don't think people are toxic. They do things that are toxic. Not everyone is completely toxic. Every human being has good and bad things, but I believe self-esteem do not grow if you surround yourself with people that most likely make you feel not good. And that you know when you don't feel good.
Yeah, you definitely do. And I don't know how or why, but I think that's something that it's maybe why I'm having a hard time articulating it, is I actually think I'm really good at that. I have a, like I know the people that I feel that way around, and I know the people that I don't feel that way around, and for whatever reason I have no idea why. That just happens to be one thing that I'm pretty good at, pulling the weeds. I'm pretty good at not allowing that in. And I have no idea where that came from.
Yeah, I actually think that's one of my strengths too. Every now and then, like, I'll purge a little bit, but for the most part, like, I don't even let negative relationships kind of get started. And I think you could probably argue, like, well, maybe somebody was just having a bad day and you might be missing out or whatever, but like, I'm introverted. I like to keep my circle small.
Yeah, for me, it's not so much like if they're negative, because like everybody can have a negative moment, right? You all know how I walked in here today. Let's be honest. But I think for me, it has a lot to do with genuine. Like
Yeah.
I like to surround myself with people that are genuine. If I can see through that and it doesn't feel genuine to me, there's like I get this almost like a wall of like, that's not going to be a relationship that's good for me, that I want to invest time and energy in.
In my case, I've learned, because I wasn't able to do this in the past, is even have conversations with people and say, you know what, the conversations we've been having lately, or the way you relate to me, is something that I don't like. It doesn't feel good. And have those conversations with people that can be uncomfortable, but it's really, if you want to try to save the relationship, it's like, this is not working, or please don't talk to me like that. Or even, this is a perfect example that happened 2 days ago. Somebody sent me an email and say, "Oh, Maria, I'm going through this training, and they asked me to go to ask a therapist about these questions that I need answered about child neglect. And you're a therapist, I know. Can you please answer these questions?" And then they send me these 9 questions, and they're due tomorrow. And for a second, I thought, I want to be the Maria that helps. I want to please people, because in my head, it took me a moment to understand that my thought process was, oh, I want this person to think, how cool is Maria, right? She did this for me from one day to the other. She's so helpful. Wait a minute, why? What exactly do I need to prove in that moment? If I say no, does that make me less worthy? Does that make me less of a successful therapist or a good friend? So I replied and I said, I would have loved to help, but and it was true, I'm completely full. I cannot drop everything I'm doing that it is actually due soon to answer this question. I didn't say that, but I said, I am so sorry. I'm completely full. I could maybe try to do it, but it wouldn't be until next week. And then the person replied and said, yes, it could be next week. Okay. But those things are important because I am a relationship. You are a relationship to care for. And no one is going to care for that relationship between you and you more than you.
Yeah, and as you're talking, Maria, you're making me think. I think maybe part of the reason why I'm pretty good at what I said a second ago is because I'm really bad at the other thing you just said, which is I don't like confrontation and I don't like uncomfortable conversations. And so I think I got really good at like picking the situations where I wouldn't have to have them, which is probably not great.
But that's a good point. I've also learned that yes, it is an uncomfortable conversation, but those few minutes or hours of being uncomfortable can save me years of uncomfortable stuff that you hide under the rug, or maybe you let go by and you let pass and you still have the relationship, but it's always with that, doubt or that deep feeling that you're not enjoying it. I'd rather have that conversation, get it out, and I know maybe I'm not going to sleep well that night, but then it paves the way for me to really design the relationships and my surroundings as I want them.
Yeah, and you're so right that ultimately it's knowing that you're worth that. Like you matter enough to stand up for yourself and have the uncomfortable conversation. Goes right back to your self-esteem. Your second ingredient.
Because when you think that you are worth so much, let's say we would put a price. If before I thought I was worth $1,000, let's say 1,000 hearts. Let's not even talk about money. I was worth 1,000 hearts. Now I think I'm worth like 2 billion hearts. If that's the case, you don't put ourselves to cheap treatment or cheap stuff because you know your value, right? You get it. So, ladies, yes, audit your inner circles, fire that inner bitch, like whoever your inner voice is, audit it as well and fire it, make it dramatic. Say your services are no longer needed. If you're going to be talking to me like, come on, do it. You're not good enough. You need to prove yourself. You're not worth it if you're not successful. If you lay down in the couch, then you're being lazy. If you don't, help this other person, you're unhelpful. If that's your inner voice, fire it, okay? And say, not longer needed, and assign it with a new one, something that is more of a mentor, that brings more hope, that is more fierce and kind, and less self-esteem is something that you can build. And again, these three ingredients are something that I promise you, if we add more of them, is going to bring changes to the way you relate to yourself and the way you relate to others, and allow others to relate to you. Leave a like, download, share. Let us know what you think about this episode. Go again and watch that video on Instagram. And whatever you do, audit and think about your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your self-love. And let's rebrand the way you relate to yourself.
For all of our local listeners, are you tired of workouts that feel like punishment? Come sweat with me instead every Friday at 10:30 a.m. at the Leading Lady Collective, 2158 Reynard Court in Annapolis. It's 30 minutes of high-intensity joy. Yes, that's a thing. And it's only $90 a month. We lift, we laugh, and we occasionally question our life choices, but we always leave stronger and healthier. Hope to see you there.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara DeLeon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.